Hi and welcome to this video in the MRDCL Central Working Smarter series, and in this video I'm going to give you an overview of all the things that you can find in MRDCL Central. Well, the first thing to say is you don't need to use MRDCL Central, but that's not a good reason for not using it. You can still use the original MRDCL version, or what we've now called MRDCL Classic, just like you always have done. And of course it's got some new increased limits in it so that you can be even more productive and handle even bigger projects than you used to be able to. But let's take a tour now of MRDCL Central and show you some of the benefits you can get, because there's so many different things that it offers that are new and can help with your productivity. So first of all, when you open up MRDCL Central, you'll find a list of all the projects that you've opened up in the system. And if you want to see what you've opened up in Classic, you can click on this icon here down the left, and that will switch to the Classic files that you've opened. And you can switch between MRDCL Classic and MRDCL Central at any time you want to. I'm now clicking back to go back to MRDCL Central. The files that you've opened in MRDCL Central, you'll see they've got a color-coded icon here. So the green ones mean that they've last ran successfully. So the status of those is that they were successful the last time you run in. Whereas the light blue one here indicates that although it was successful last time, the file has been edited since. So it may not be successful if you run it again. And if you get a red icon, that would mean that it failed last time, and a grey icon would mean that you haven't actually run it at all yet. You'll also see this favourites button here, so you can pin particular STP files to the top of the list so that you can find them easily for projects that you're using regularly or you're currently working on a lot. So that's a new feature in Central. And you'll also see that we've introduced an STPX file. Now the STPX file extension is not mandatory, you don't have to use it, but what it's a way of indicating is that this is the main file for your runs. So it will have a control stage, and always have a control stage, and it works particularly well for people who have a lot of insert files in their runs, so that you can identify quickly what's the main run file that you would need to kick off using either MRDC Central or indeed MRDCL Classic. So that's a new feature that we've introduced. If you want to open up a new STP file, you can click on this icon here and it'll create a new one for you. If you want to open up an STP file, you can just click on this icon here and it'll open up one individual STP file. And if you click on this one, it will let you open up multiple STP files in a folder. So if you've got a project with lots of STP files in one folder that you want to have readily available so that you can flick between them, that's the one to choose, and it'll be much quicker than continually opening and closing files as you probably have done previously in Classic. So it's a much easier environment to work in. Some of the other things down here are worth looking at as well. So if we click on the plus button, you'll see that opens up 3 more icons down here, and these are for importing data from other sources. So the first one you'll see is you can import from SPSS, and that will use the XML version of SPSS, which is the more modern version, and it will import and produce a really good MRDCL script for you. And I say it's a really good MRDCL script because it actually produces efficient MRDCL script. And by that, I mean you'll get things like do loops put in automatically for you, because it'll identify any repeat code that you've got. Now that's really useful when you're importing a project, because if you want to, for example, add a top 2 box and bottom 2 box to some rating scales, you'll only have to edit it once within the do loop, rather than perhaps editing 50 variables one at a time to put those in. So it really is a step up from what's been available previously. We've also included an import from the SPSS text file, the older version of SPSS, which some software suppliers use as their export from SPSS. And finally, we've really up to things here with the import from SPSS. So again, it will generate for you really efficient MRDCL script with do loops where they're appropriate, and data statements holding any changes to any lists that you're handling. But more than that, it will let you choose how you import the files. Now, one of the problems with SPSS is that it doesn't handle multi-response questions particularly well, but with the import that we put in from SPSS now, direct from a SAB file, you can choose how you put variables together so that you get multi-response variables in MRDCL that are ready to use and ready to tabulate. And indeed, it will generate a basic table for every single variable that it imports, both from SSS and from SPSS, which means that if you want to put a quick banner in, you can import a project from SPSS or SSS and run tables all within literally just a few minutes. So there's some of the things down the left-hand side that you might want to use to make you more productive. Let's look at some of the things across the top. Now, in here, first of all, you can see we've got an editor, and this is a color-coded editor. So everything has different colors for it. So the stages, you can see they're in red. Variable names highlight their dollars so that they're easy to find. DI and DS is highlighted in different colors. And indeed, do loops are also highlighted in colors that stand out really clearly. So, for example, there's a data statement, easy to find, do A 1 to 7. Everything is very easy to find and makes it a bit easier to navigate your own STP files when you're working on them. When you're ready to run them, you can just click on the Run button up here. You can go off to Classic and run them if you want to, but you can run them inside Central. So let's click on that Run button here. Similar sort of choices when you're ready to run. Off it goes and runs, and it will produce the tables. Now, one of the things that's really nice in Central, that all the output files are easy to find across here. You'll first of all get a summary of the runs, of the status of the run, when it was run, and you can review that at any time you want to. And you can see all the tables in a table of contents down here. If we go back to the main editor screen, you can look at the tables as text files. You can look at the tables as a CSV file. So I'll just open that. And that's opening it in Excel. You can look at a table of contents, a report, a listing file, a log file, and back to that summary again that I showed just now. So really easy to navigate through your project and look at the files that you've got as outputs from MRDCL. Let's look at some other things now. Now, one of the other things that's been added is that you can now format tables in Excel. So if we run this, if we go to the icon here, this runs Report Index, which is a sort of sub part of the MRDCL Central Suite. So if we click on that, that will allow you to produce an Excel workbook that has worksheets with different combinations of things you might want, with the text you might want to call them. So you can have perhaps a worksheet with figures in, a worksheet with percentages in. Maybe you want a worksheet with figures and column percentages. You can just click that to turn that on. You can call them whatever you want. And if I'm to run that, I go to the Run button here, and that will complete the run for me so that I can now view that output. And let's open that file. And here it is. There's my table of contents with 9 tables. There's the original table. And you can look at the figures if you want to, or you might want to just choose the percentages, which of course is a really efficient way to look at them if you want to start doing charts in Excel or PowerPoint. So if we wanted to do a chart from this table, for example, we could just open that and it's pretty much ready to do a chart as a bar or whatever else you want to do in Excel, or moving it into PowerPoint or pushing it into Word. So that's a new thing. Now you can tag that process of automating the Excel outputs as part of your MRDCL run. So this is a sort of start of the automation tools that are available in MRDCL Central. So not only can you import your data, run the script, and produce the tables in Excel with those hyperlinks and in different formats with different settings like decimal places, as you can see down here, that can all be automated as one process. And let's take that one step further now, because you can also now in MRDCL handle batch runs. So if we go into run number 6, you'll see that if we go back to the editor, I'm into this one here, and I can run batch runs. And here again, I've got various runs. So this is where I want to automate the runs. For region 1, I want a set of tables. Region 2, a set of tables. This one here has got an error in it deliberately to demonstrate it, which is region 4, setting the index to 7. And this is going to automate all of the tables for me. So when I'm ready to run this, I can just click on this. I'm going to exclude that one that's got an error in it by clicking on it here and ask it to run those tables for me. And you can see now it's producing 1 set of tables, 2 sets of tables, 3 sets of tables. And if I go back to the editor, you can see there's my first set of tables for the north, and then I've got another set of tables to follow that in central and south. So I've done 3 filtered runs on the 3 regions in my survey. And again, of course, I can look at those in a CSV file or as an Excel output, as I described just now. So that's another part of the automation that you're allowed within MRDCL Central. And finally, I'm going to quickly show you the export facilities that are now available. So there's a new set of export tools. If I click onto this, you can now export. You can still use DTV files just like you can in Classic, but the one real extra benefit you get here, or in fact there's 2 benefits. The first one is that you can now export directly to a SAV file without going through the process of making SPS files and a text file and importing that into SPSS to save it as a SAV file. That's just now automatically generating a SAV file. And secondly, you can tag that on to the end of the runs, so that not only could you import the data, run an MRDCL run, output that to Excel, you could also generate that SAV file as part of an automated process. So really some really strong automated tools coming into play now. And finally, we've got some other things here in the sub-files that just let you navigate your project. So in here, for example, now you can use some of the shortcut editor tools that are available. You can look at all the STP files that work as sub-files within a particular project. And you can even now navigate through your text. So you could click on, for example, question 3 here, and you can see all the text that you've got for that variable. So that's all tied in with the MRDCL Central package. So I hope that's useful to you. It's a very quick run through of the whole system. If you want to know more about any of those things, you'll find that there's individual videos that take you through in more detail to show you actually how to use each of those tools in a little bit more detail so you can run them yourself. But thanks for joining me on this video for this overview of MRDCL Central.